And welcome everybody to another episode of Glove Up or Shut Up right here on AngryMarks.com. My name is Peter H. and I'm joined once again by my co-host from Omaha, Nebraska, Stevie J.
Cubs and the Indians in the World Series. Did you ever think you would see it?
I didn't think I'd be alive to see it.
I knew it would happen in my lifetime. In fact, I promised my mom that it would happen in hers.
So, I had a thought this week. If I told you in January that the Cubbies and the Indians would be in the World Series, Ronda Rousey would be fighting in December for her lost title, CM Punk could have a fight in UFC, all three things happened, you would have thought I was on the highest form of crack known to mankind.
No, I actually could have predicted at least two of those three things happening. I could have seen Rousey having a fight in December because I've been calling for her to have a fight by the end of the year, and you've heard me say it on this show, so that's not a surprise. We all knew CM Punk was eventually going to have a fight once he recovered from his back surgery. That really wasn't a surprise. The only one that you could have said, well, I don't know, is both the Cubs and the Indians being in the World Series. One of those two, yeah, both of them, that was unlikely.
It's like, for those who watch football, Sunday Night Football this weekend, really, really was bad. In fact, both kickers missed game-winning field goals. One hit the post.
Yeah, I saw it. Oh my God, that game was a train wreck. The fucking Seahawks kicker needs to find some place to go and hide.
So one hit the post and one went wide left. And the statistical analysis was the odds of both field goal kickers missing game-winning kicks in overtime, 0.2%.
Yeah, it was the anomaly of all anomalies that the game ended in overtime with a tie.
Oh boy. Alright, so we got Bellator to talk about this past weekend, and
that
we have
did
lots
not
of news.
end in a tie. We had all finishes on the main card.
Thank God for that.
Yes, indeed. So where do you want to start?
Well, let's start right at the top. Shlemenko and Grove, and let's just say Shlemenko doesn't get paid by the hour.
No. And they were definitely trying to clean each other's clocks in the first round. Now, as you know from our preview or from reading my article on MMA Mania, Grove did have a few advantages going into this, namely his height and his reach, which made him a difficult target to hit. But Shlemenko tried to counter that by just spinning around like a whirling dervish and throwing back fists and spin kicks and every single thing he could. He was going on quite a tear there, and they both landed some really hard shots in the first round. But it was the second round where he decided, screw trying to kick this guy in the head or reach his chin. I'm just gonna punch him in the liver. And that did it. He landed that left hook to the liver, and then once Grove was like frozen, and you know what I mean when I say frozen, because when you get hit with a liver shot like that, your whole body just goes rigid. And then once Grove was frozen in place, Shlemenko put a perfect right hook on his chin, and that was a wrap. 143 of the second round.
One of those back fists. I don't know how he does it, but it found the perfect spot, and I was like, he's throwing these in the first.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they shouldn't be connecting this well in the first round.
That's why they call him Storm Shlemenko. That is what he does. He just rolls in there and just overwhelms people. That's his MO. That's the way he fights.
Jeez. Well, good for Shlemenko on the victory. Kendall Grove, I mean, nothing to really, feel low about. You had a good fight against Shlemenko. You didn't embarrass yourself. You had a great effort, and I look forward to seeing him.
He rocked him a couple of times in the first round. It's not like he was out of this fight. He had a chance.
No, absolutely. It's just, I think, like I hate saying all this, he learns more from a loss than a win, but, I mean, he can take a lot of lessons from this fight.
Yeah, and he has been a better fighter of late. His last two fights, he won both of them by knockout, so you can't hate on Kendall Grove at this point. He is an evolved fighter.
Gee, I couldn't beat Shlemenko. How many fighters have?
Not a whole lot.
No. Alright, Bobby Lee and Josh Appel. Appel actually questioned, why am I such a huge underdog? This is why.
You questioned it until you watched the fight, and then you saw Lashley just completely dissect him and manhandle him. In fact, in kind of an ode to the baseball season we're in right now, I recapped the first round for MMA Mania and said he pitched a shutout.
When it comes to Lashley and Appel, Lashley, who didn't he call out after the fight?
pretty much everybody, including TNA Impact wrestler Eddie Edwards.
Why? Why? I know why, but why?
Why? Because he can, and because nobody's going to tell him not to, even though they're no longer together. Bellator and Impact don't really work together anymore. They're on different networks now, but he can do what he wants. Are you going to tell Bobby Lashley not to do it?
Nope, not at all. I mean, yes, he did win this fight. Yes, it was dominant. Yes, he did prove a lot, but does he deserve a title shot?
You're asking me to say he doesn't when he's won 8 fights in a row and he just pounded the hell out of a guy that was a champion in 2 other organizations and not an inexperienced fighter. Maybe not on Bobby Lashley's level, but it's not like Josh Appelt was a joke.
Mm-mm.
And Bobby Lashley manhandled him for 1 round, bruised and battered his face, just beat him bloody, then took him down and choked him out in the second round. I mean, it was a masterful, dominant, one-sided performance, and you're going to tell me you wouldn't give that guy a title shot considering there's no champion? The only question here is that he seemed to be suggesting there was a heavyweight tournament, and Bellator hasn't said this. Bellator hasn't issued a press release about this. Nobody in Bellator has leaked this information to me, and if they were going to follow up on him saying it, they've had several days to do so since the time this fight took place and we recorded this show, and mum's the word, nobody is talking about it.
Did he take a shot to the head and thought he was the old Bellator?
I don't know what he thought. Maybe he knows something we don't. Maybe they do have plans for a heavyweight tournament, but pardon my French, God damn it, just announce the goddamn thing already because there is no heavyweight champion, so don't wait. Tell us there's a tournament, do it now. Stop stalling.
Alright, let's move on to Goto Yamauchi against Ryan Couture.
This caught me by surprise. Not because
Just you?
Not because Yamauchi won, but because of the incredibly smooth, I won't call it effortless because it takes effort and skill to trap somebody in an armbar the way that he did. And Couture should have known better. He really thought that getting the takedown was his bread and butter, but Yamauchi just threw that leg up around his neck and caught him perfectly, like catching a fish with a worm on the hook. He just baited him, lured him in, and once he had him on the ground, he's like, yeah, I know what to do here. I can either get a triangle choke or I can get an armbar. Either way, you're fucked.
Quite the surprise. I mean, what can you really talk about in a 61-second fight?
You could just say what I just said, was that Yamauchi clearly had this in mind, and he was the submission artist going into this fight, so the only surprise was that he looked this good at lightweight.
And Hisaki Kato beating AJ Matthews very late in the first round.
Well, it could have been stopped before it was, because, quite honestly, AJ Matthews was turned into a punching bag there toward the end. He was rocked several times, and that ref gave him every chance in the world, but when it was finally waved off at 4:58, I was like, thank God, because that kid didn't need to see a second round.
Now,
are you going to complain about the eye poke?
No, I was going to say, as much as I want to talk about the prelims, I do want to ask your opinion on the Chael Sonnen and Tito Ortiz interview we had.
And not the eye poke. You got nothing to say about that.
It was...
I think it was an incidental contact. I don't think it was a flagrant attempt to jab him in the eye.
No, it wasn't. I don't think it was flagrant. I think it just, pardon my French, but shit happens.
It's funny when you say pardon my French and we're talking about Hisaki Kato, because this is a guy that trains in Paris and hails from Nagoya, Japan, so pardon my French indeed.
It's like the old TNA drop where it's like, they're chanting USA. Is it for the Mexican or for the Brit?
Exactly. Yeah. All you can say is, don't worry, Gato, Mr. Kato. But anyway, you want to know about the Tito Ortiz-Chael Sonnen debate.
What are they on? Like, seriously, what are they on? I know they got the gift of gab, but is the eye rolling part of the gimmick now? Is that it? Like, it's like, oh God, guys, just knock it off. Like, it's getting annoying at this point.
Well, what else are you going to do? They got 3 months to build up this fight. You got to do something to kill time between now and January. So this is the kind of shit you're going to get for a while because they have to keep reminding people that these two are having a fight at the Forum in Inglewood. They've got to hammer this home because they want this to be a big ratings bonanza.
I know, but it's like we have two people who are trying to get the media's attention for a thing that's not going to happen for months on end. Boy, that sounds like the election. What was I talking about again?
Well, that's why they were calling it the debate, because they were basically mimicking, mocking, imitating, whatever word you choose, the presidential debates. That's what they were trying to do.
On Phil Davis.
Well, yeah, that was a completely different kind of mocking of the debate, but they were definitely going for that buzz of watch the debate and vote on who won. That's what they were trying to go for here, which is ironic because Bellator asked us to decide who won the debate on Twitter and then had the debate after they asked. Somebody in their social media department was getting shit out of order.
Yep.
And that wasn't the first one they goofed up on. They also screwed up by saying, be sure to watch the main event with Fight Bobby. And I'm like, guys, I don't think Kendall Grove is fighting Bobby Lashley. And they deleted the tweet. So my retweet says this attachment is unavailable.
Oops.
Oops, indeed. The social media department was not having a good night.
There was one line that Son said that it popped me, and usually some stuff I just groan at, but it was like...
Was it when he said, I tried to sell you a suit, but nobody had a size 52 stupid?
Yeah.
That was
a good one.
That was probably his best line of the whole thing.
And the Tito smashing the juice box. Juice box don't hit back. Anything on the prelims you want to talk about, or should we just dive into these news?
Let's go to the news. We got tons.
All right. It looks like Fedor's got an opponent in a former UFC as a fighter, a big name fighter, Shane Carwin.
That's right, in Ryzen.
Dominic Steele, out of his fight against... What's that?
Sure enough, Dominic Steele.
Out of his fight against Kyle Noak. That's
unfortunate.
Yeah. Injuries, again, it's like, it's not as bad as, what was it, 20, I want to say 15? There was that 1 year where every second card had major injury problems, the whole, year it seemed like.
Right.
Let's see. We talked about the debate.
Aren't you going to talk about Uriah Faber's retirement?
Yeah, that was later in the news, but we can jump ahead. Uriah Faber came out this week and says that his fight against Brad Pickett in December will be his last fight.
And since it's a fight in Sacramento, he basically gets to win or lose, go out in front of his hometown fans.
I like it. I like the fight. It doesn't need more promotion. It's Faber in Sacramento. It's, it's not, you don't need to push this fight in that town.
No, it'll sell itself. And if it's the swan song, it's probably the right time for him to do it because he's lost 3 out of the last 4. He's getting passed by guys ranked 10, 12 in the bantamweight division. He knows his time is up.
Now, do you want to talk about Lyman Good?
Well, he got popped by a USADA test, so he's off his next fight. He's no longer on the card.
And what a card to be taken off of.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he must have dreams of money flying away.
Yeah, you don't want to miss Madison Square Garden because that's going to be huge. And Lyman Good hails from the area too, so that's a double pisser for him.
Hey, he might still go if he buys a ticket. But it's really sad to see that fighters get popped like this, especially if they're a hometown boy coming home for the first fight in that state, first show in that state, and it's official.
And Lyman's a good guy. No pun intended, but I've talked to him before. I like him. He's a good fighter. It's a shame that he, had this happen to him. I hope it was an honest mistake. I hope he wasn't really trying to cheat. I hope maybe he just had what the old excuse is anymore, tainted supplement. I hope that's what it is.
A friend of mine tweeted me this news, a private message, I think it was a few hours afterwards, and it was just the weirdest text. When you read a text or a private message and it's the headline, it doesn't quite register with you? Mm-hmm. You read it and you're like, what is he trying to say? And then boom, it just hits you like smack in the face.
Yeah.
If you're not lineman, you're not trying.
Oh, bad pun. Bad pun.
I was like, what the hell am I? Oh no, he got popped, didn't he? Like, it was like, what? What do you think of this headline for 207? Cody Garbrandt's winner of, I think, 5 in a row. Great streak, great fighter. Meeting the champ, Dominic Cruz, UFC 207.
I like that fight. I think it's a good fight. I think it's exactly what people who say that UFC is only making money fights with big names are gonna have thrown in their face. They're like, well, if that's what you say, look, here, Cody Garbrandt's fighting Dominic Cruz. There you go. There's your proof that UFC still goes out there and makes fights with ranked fighters fighting champions.
I'll make this prediction right now. Cruz will lose.
Nah, you know what? I'm not gonna do that. Not after the way I've seen Cruz fight in his last couple of fights.
Okay.
I still think he probably goes down in history as the greatest bantamweight in UFC. I think 10, 15 years from now, we'll be talking about Dominic Cruz as one of the greatest ever.
Now, I don't watch much of this show because it's only, well, it is available in Canada. I shouldn't say that. We do get it on the Comedy Channel here.
You get MMA on the Comedy Channel? What's that all about?
Oh, no. Well, yeah, actually. You ever watch the show Drunk History?
Oh, I've seen that a few times. I've seen clips.
Ronda Rousey's on an episode.
Oh, what's the history that they're reviewing with her?
Well, let's just say she bites someone's ear off.
Aha, Mike Tyson.
Well, I don't think it's Mike Tyson. I think it's like I'll have to dig more into it, but I heard about this yesterday and it was like, or today I should say, and I was like, what? It didn't quite click because I was trying to make notes here. Sorry, I have the news here for Dominic Steele's,
yeah, don't get Dominic Steele and Dominic Cruz confused, okay? One is spelled I-C-K and one's spelled Q-U-E.
No. Dominic Steele's opponent, Dominic Steele's replacement is Omari Akhmedov.
Oh, okay. That's a good fight.
That is a scary fight for Kyle Noak. It's like, okay, I'm facing a tough fighter. No, I'm fighting this. Okay, I'm not going to say no. Like,
Kyle Noak really doesn't say no to anything anyway. He's one of those fighters who will take a fight with anybody anytime.
No, he's one of those fighters. Exactly. Who am I fighting now? Okay, give me a minute to think about it. That's 30 seconds is long enough. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Let's see. It says Rousey will help reenact the scene from early 19th century New York where she takes on the role of Gallus Meg, an infamous female bouncer who helped protect the hole-in-the-wall bar by using any means available.
Okay, so it's not Tyson Holyfield. When you said biting an ear, that was the first place my mind went.
No, I think that's in the episode she actually bites someone's ear off.
Alright. Well, are we going to talk about these 13 fighters that UFC released? Is that on your list?
Man, it depressed me when I read the list because there's a few names on here that how do I say this?
But seriously, of those names, were any of them really doing that well in UFC lately? No.
No.
I mean,
Sadly,
especially Bigfoot Silva. It was long past time for him to stop fighting.
Yeah, no, it does suck to see him go. Not because like he was winning fights, obviously, but I think it's the last time we'll see him in UFC. I don't think they're going to bring him back. You know what I mean? Like he has some name value, even though at this point in his career he's more of a beatable fighter. He's not even a gatekeeper. No. You know, he's just a guy, but he has that resume that not many fighters have, so.
Honestly, to me, the biggest shame out of all of these is probably Kevin King Casey. I think that guy, he's a pickup for Bellator. If they want him, I would get him, cause he's a quality fighter.
What about the Barn Cat?
Well, the Barn Cat's been in Bellator before, so he could probably go right back.
And the other name that...
Sean Spencer? I'd probably pick up Sean Spencer, too, if I was them.
What about Kyle Magalhaes?
Yeah, well...
I'd take a shot on him.
Yeah, I guess so. I'd probably go for Corey Hendricks before him.
I can go either way. Mm-hmm. I'm not a big fan of Hendricks. I'm more Magalhaes, but... You know, it is what it is. Some fighters here...
I'm surprised you didn't say Kenny Robertson. I figured you'd be all over that.
Well, maybe we'll see him in another promotion. I'm just going to say that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What else do you want me to say here about, geez, I don't know where. Where was it?
You gotta be glad they got rid of Cody East. At least say that much.
I didn't want to say it before you did.
That guy needed to go.
Oh yeah. No, he did. He absolutely did. So, okay, we did this last week. I might as well do it again this week. And we talked about Uriah Faber's last fight, his retirement fight, so to speak. Cage side tickets, Stevie.
$225.
$175.
Hey, it was pretty close.
Yeah, that's a bargain though.
Yeah,
for Faber's
last fight, I would pay that.
Pay it and then resell for double that.
No, you wouldn't get me to sell it. If I had tickets for his last fight in Sacramento, I would be there.
Now, we talked about this off air. We might as well talk about it on the show. John Jones. Oh, can he not talk in front of a microphone for 1 week? Just one?
You want him to shut up and go away, don't you?
Oh, he doesn't have to go away. Just
shut up?
Yes. Walk around and just, hi, no, can't talk right now, gotta go.
I hate to say it, but this is what makes John Jones, is running his mouth talking shit. If he didn't, he wouldn't be the guy that we love to hate.
He's trying to remain relevant when he's trying to, not be nice for the commission, but until the hearing, just shut up. Just shut up.
No, he can't help himself. And
I know.
For those who don't know what Peter is referring to, he said, steroids didn't give me a high fight IQ or give me the ability to fight in the cage.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
You are a gifted fighter.
I'm paraphrasing.
He is a gifted fighter, but come on. I mean,
he does have something of a point. You know, if you're a good fighter, there are certain things that no amount of enhancement can help you with. You know, if you've got that instinct to know when to duck, to know when to throw a punch, to see somebody's body language and get out of the way before they do something, there are some fighters that are just naturally gifted with those abilities. And in fairness to John Jones, even though he comes across like I'm talking shit because I can, he's not necessarily wrong about that. This is sort of the gift and the curse of John Jones in general. A lot of what he says is true, but a lot of it really just comes off like he's a cocky asshole.
Oh yeah, no, there's a special level of that. Speaking of cocky assholes.
Conor McGregor?
Michael Bisping.
Oh, well, he could have gone either way with that.
You're not going to believe this rumor.
I probably will because I've probably seen it, but you go ahead and tell me anyway because our audience wants to hear it too.
Bisping is claiming that he has verbally agreed to a fight at UFC 206 against a fighter who technically doesn't have a contract with the UFC. Yes, he is saying he has verbally agreed to fight Georges Rush St. Pierre.
I heard it as well, and I don't think that's gonna happen.
You're not doing the whole Dave Meltzer thing, are you?
I wouldn't put money on it, let me put it that way.
I don't know. I don't see that fight happening. I don't know.
Especially considering George's lawyer is calling UFC a bunch of scoundrels and thieves and referring to their contracts as slavery. I don't think George is fighting in UFC anytime soon. Did
you hear Randy Couture's comments about GSP's fight with the UFC?
I've been there, I've done that.
I spent so much money, good luck.
That's another way of putting it.
I'm paraphrasing, that's pretty much what he said, like.
Good fucking luck, kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I had $500,000 and like, I hope he has, I would have followed up with, I hope he has deep pockets.
The only people that have better lawyers than UFC is WWE.
WWE.
Right?
Yeah. McDevitt, yeah, okay.
Exactly. So, you can try to fight it if you want, but sometimes it's better to just take what they offer you and settle and fight out your contract and then leave, because you're not getting out of it very easy.
No. All right, so I have just a couple of things to talk about here. Just some news I got to get off the news desk here. Want to give obviously, Stevie, I speak for you on this, and that is we we wish the family of Dave Meltzer well. For those who don't know, his mother had a stroke, and well wishes are needed. So
yeah, he missed Wrestling Observer Radio on Monday because of it. So our hearts go out to him. We hope she's doing better. We hope he's handling it well. Our well wishes to everybody there.
And a little bit of sad news here as well. For those who have heard me talk about being on Live 88.5 on the morning show, familiar voice on there, Catfish Morgan, who was working at that radio station since day one of that station on Friday, succumbed to cancer.
Yeah, that's a shame. I'm sorry.
He is actually, I will say this on the show, he is the reason that I'm still the morning, UFC morning show expert there. It was his idea really to inspire me to, one of the reasons why I'm in radio, why I graduated the program, why I'm still on the radio, work at radio. He really helped me cultivate what I do here on this podcast and to cover UFC for Wrestling Observer. So, yeah, just, we're going to miss him. That's all I'm going to say about that.
I hate to keep it on a downer, but since we're talking about sad news, did you hear the latest about the passing of Jordan Parsons?
Yes, he's the first MMA fighter to have CTE.
That is a very scary fact,
yes,
considering he'd only had one really big knockout in his career. So if he had CTE, it probably wasn't from that one fight. It was probably from years of sparring and rolling around and bouncing his head on the mat. He probably had it just from normal training for a fight. So that doesn't bode well for a lot of fighters.
I hate to say this, but I think it's the tip of the iceberg. I heard Axel Rotten and Balls Mahoney.
Okay, well, those were probably at the same time as Jordan. So yeah.
Yeah. Which, taking chair shots, unprotected chair shots isn't exactly the same as getting punched in the face, but
if anything's going to give you CTE, a chair shot to the head sure as hell will.
Yeah. But, I think with medical science the way it is now, maybe we'll get a better understanding of CTE over the next 5 years, 10 years.
I think so.
I hope so. All right. So next week, we're going to preview Bellator 163 and UFC Fight Night 98, Dos Anjos and Ferguson.
That's right. 2 big shows.
Finally, UFC is back, and
finally, Liam McGeary defends the light heavyweight title again.
That's going to be an epic fight on November the 4th. UFC is back. I think it's a show every weekend for the rest of the year, Stevie.
Same with Bellator, pretty much.
Yeah, you got the New Year's Eve show. Oh my God, we're in for we're ending the year in a bang, so to speak.
Yeah, there are 7 Bellator shows between now and December 31st, so buckle up.
Mm-hmm. UFC and Bellator head to head every week. This show is going to be a little bit longer now.
No, not head to head. Most of them are like a Friday night and a Saturday night, so they're just back to back.
Back to back. That's what I meant. All right. So what's on tap for Thursday Night AMP?
Talk about this Billy Corgan lawsuit. That's all I can say about it right now. We'll get into it then.
Oh, jeez, I forgot about that. I thought you were going to say Hell in the Cell.
No, lawsuit. That'll be all there is to talk about, really.
Ugh. All right, well, I really don't know what to say about the lawsuit. I haven't really delved into it.
That's why I said I don't want to get into it now.
I know.
Not now.
I'm just saying I don't know much about it. That's all I'm saying.
Then listen to Thursday Night AMP, because you're going to hear a lot about it.
All right, well, for Stevie J, I'm Peter H., the Hardcore Canadian. Thanks for listening. As I always say, never leave it to the judges. Good night, everybody.
See ya.